What's that? No, I'm going to do whatever when it's my time. Are you talking? Yeah, so you go before. I'm good. Thanks for that.
Good morning, everybody. Good to see you this morning. Good morning. Joining us today, as you can see, are some of the rising stars in our party. These are Republican members of the sophomore class. They're in their second term. Many of them have been working so hard for the last several weeks in their districts, trying to help their constituents navigate the chaoses that have been created by the Democrat shutdown. We're now on day 36, and it is a sad landmark in our history. This is the longest shutdown of any government in our history. And they've also made history in a number of ways, which we've recounted every day in our daily press conferences. Remember, this is the first time in the history of America that any party has had the audacity to close down the government over a totally clean, nonpartisan continuing resolution. I said yesterday, and I'm being honest, none of us imagined that we would be here at this moment. We couldn't have imagined that Democrats would be willing to force families to go hungry and workers to miss paychecks for 5 weeks on end, 50 days plus, and we never did imagine that they would be willing to use the pain of American families with such reckless disregard. But that is what we are seeing, and it is unconscionable. Despite the 15 opportunities they have now had to reopen the government, they have voted 15 times to keep it closed. That is the number that everyone has to pay attention to. All the Americans who are hurting because of this. They need to understand Republicans have voted 15 times to open your government, and the Democrats have voted 15 times to close it. They voted to deny paychecks to workers, to stop the flow of SNAP funds to hungry families, and all the rest. And still, somehow, they have the audacity to go on national television and gaslight the American people and try to pretend that somehow the Republican Party has some blame in this. It's the most outrageous example of political gaslighting that we have ever seen. And day after day, they have claimed, without any merit at all, this shutdown is somehow about health care. It's a blatant lie, and they know it. They tried to string together two totally unrelated issues: the expiration of the Obamacare COVID subsidies and the basic funding of the federal government. Those are two totally distinct things. Republicans have always been willing to have a conversation about the COVID-era subsidies and how to make Obamacare and health care more affordable. But we will not, and we should not do so as hostages in their political game. It was in no way necessary or appropriate to shut down the government in order to have bipartisan discussions about the subsidies. The reality is the Democrats could have avoided all of this chaos and all the pain, everything they've inflicted on American families, by simply voting to back the clean, nonpartisan continuing resolution, the 24-page simple document, just as they did 13 times under the Biden administration. They could have passed that 47 days ago. After the House did it, we did our work and sent it over there. And we would have had all these negotiations and continued. I'm going to wrap this up and tell you again why. The big question is why. Why would the Democrats have the audacity to do this? As we summarized so simply yesterday, and we will do so every day, they are motivated out of fear. The Democrats shut down the government out of fear. They have never been more afraid at any point than they are right now. They know, as we all do, what their own polls show. The leadership of the Democratic Party is the most unpopular with members of their own Democratic base. And we saw that in the elections last night. The old guard is desperately trying to use this shutdown to show the radical Marxist wing of their party that they can look tough to President Trump. That's because the new power center of the left isn't the moderates. It's the AOCs and the Bernie Sanders and the Mamdanis of the party. It's the activists who believe capitalism is evil, who disdain the founding principles of their own country. They claim that the salvation of our nation will be brought about by bigger government and more bureaucracy. Look what happened in New York City last night. For the first time in American history, an avowed, openly proclaimed socialist has been elected as the mayor of America's largest city. Zoran Mamdani is without a doubt the biggest win for socialism in the history of the country, and it is the biggest loss for the American people. He is truly a committed Marxist. And the results of that race tell you everything you need to know about where the Democrats and their party are headed. From the backbench to their leadership, Democrats have fallen in line behind the socialist candidates. Hakeem Jeffries, as you know, is the highest-ranking Democrat in the House. He gave his full blessing to Mamdani and his socialist agenda. Chuck Schumer, the highest-ranking Democrat in the Senate and the highest-ranking Jewish leader in America, flirted with endorsing Mamdani all the way to the bitter end. Never mind the fact that Zoran has embraced anti-Semitic rhetoric and promised to arrest the Prime Minister of Israel if he visits New York City again. And then there's President Obama, who called Mamdani over the weekend to extend his praise and act as a sounding board for the young socialist. You can't make this stuff up. The man who made healthcare unaffordable with his own socialist scheme is advising the man whose false promises will surely make life unlivable for millions of New Yorkers who cannot afford to flee the city. As we said from this podium every morning, we talk about Mamdani for two reasons. It's a bellwether, because House Democrats, many of whom represent districts with much less blue than New York City, have embraced him with open arms. And because his brand of Marxism is truly a bellwether for the Democrats nationwide. We pointed out that other major metropolitan areas in the country are facing the same threat, with candidates similar to Mamdani. And we're going to continue to call out their effort to mainstream and normalize socialism and Marxism in America. Working families watching this play out have a right to know that socialism and communism are not just confined in New York City. They are quickly coming to a town near you unless you stand up and let your voice of common sense be heard. While Democrats hitch their wagon to the socialist agenda, Republicans are going to continue to act in good faith on behalf of hardworking Americans. And we will remind a new generation of Americans about the painful and inescapable realities of history. We'll have much more to say about this in the days ahead. There were no surprises last night. I'll just summarize on the election, and then I'll yield to some of our sophomore stars here. There's no surprises. What happened last night was blue states and blue cities voted blue. We all saw that coming. And no one should read too much into last night's election results. Off-year elections are not indicative of what's to come. That's what history teaches us. By the way, it's worthy of note that Zoran Mamdani himself only received a little over 1 million votes, 1,036,000 votes. There are 8.3 million residents in New York City. 8.5 million actually is the number, I think. So about 12% of the city voted to turn their city over to the communists. We'll see how that works out. The lesson is that common sense Americans have to stay informed, you have to stay engaged, and you have to vote and let your voice be heard. But back to the urgent issue of this moment. Unlike our Democrat friends, Republicans know there's no prize for the milestone we've hit today. No one wins in a government shutdown. We pray that Democrats wake up to that truth very soon. We are very hopeful that they will come to their senses and help us to reopen the government. Remember, it's about math. We have to have 60 votes in the Senate, and we only have 53 Republicans. The entire country is waiting and calling on Democrats to put their political fight aside and open the government. Until they do that and do the right thing, House Republicans will continue to do what we've done since day one, and that is helping our constituents navigate chaos and confusion of the Democrat shutdown back in our districts. And that includes the members of our outstanding sophomore class, many of whom represented here today. Some of them are here, and we want to thank them for their leadership and their resolve, and they're working in their districts and in D.C. and being all over the place. One of those leaders is Congressman Russell Fry, our sophomore class representative. He was the president of the freshman class, and so he still gets that distinction. He serves on our elected leadership committee. And I will tell you that Russell has been a strong voice for common sense, for conservative values, and we are truly grateful to have him with us today. Thank you. Okay, questions? Yes, go ahead. I've called on somebody else. Go ahead. Thank you. We're having a press conference. Thank you. Go ahead. Yes, ma'am. And you should respect free speech. What's the question? What's the question? What's the question? I can't hear you because we have someone who doesn't respect the rights of their colleagues over here. I'd love to talk with you. Wait. I'd love to talk with you. Come to my office, okay?
You have an obligation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about it. I've been doing that. We did that before the shutdown began. We went to the White House. We went and sat in front of the Resolute desk. We brought Leader Jeffries and Leader Schumer in, and we had a discussion. The president said, please don't shut the government down. It would cause all this pain to the American people. This has never happened before. It's a clean, nonpartisan CR that every Democrat, including you, voted no on September 19th. You voted to shut down the government. You voted to stop SNAP benefits. You voted to not pay the troops, not pay TSA, Border Patrol. You may regret it now, but that's your vote, and it's on the record. So the president had us in, and they didn't want to have a dialogue or debate. They thumbed their nose in it, at him, and he had to do it. Appreciate it. Thanks for your input. Somebody give me a question that's real. Well, he and I talked about it early this morning. We woke up very early, and we talked about the outcome. And I reminded him that, as we know from history, those of us who watch these things very closely and always do, that an off-year election is not indicative of what happens next. I mean, look at Virginia, for example. Glenn Youngkin won his race for governor, and then the Democrats, the opposing party, did very well in the upcoming midterm election. These off-year elections are about different things, different dynamics. In Northern Virginia, there are a lot of federal employees. They're probably pretty upset, and they should blame the Democrats for that because, as we noted today, 15 different times Republicans in Congress, Senate, and House voted to open the government, and the Democrats, like our colleague who just tried to interrupt us here, voted to close it down. So it's very clear who's responsible for this, and I think that when we go into next year in the midterms, we're very bullish about the outcome. We have an extraordinary record to run on. You mentioned, Leader Scalise mentioned sort of what we call the split screen here, and I'll remind you all again, under President Trump and Republicans, we have had an extraordinary run. The first 9-10 months of this, 9 months, the 10th month has been shut down because of the Democrats. The first 9 months of this Congress and this administration, arguably the most productive of all time. We cut taxes, cut regulations, cut waste, fraud, and abuse in government. We solved the border crisis, which was the #1 issue on the ballot last fall. We're solving the crime crisis around the country. We've got American energy dominance revved and going again. We have new trade agreements that are more favorable to Americans, which will ultimately bring down costs. We have put real reforms into the Medicaid program to strengthen it, because we've got people who are ineligible recipients, like illegal aliens and young able-bodied men without dependents, off the program so that the disabled, the elderly, and young pregnant women can have the resources they need. The president is literally solving wars around the globe. I think we're up to 9. All of that is on one side of the screen. What are the Democrats on the other side of the screen? A government shutdown. What did they accomplish in 9 months? Interruptions. They've assaulted ICE officers. They have spurred on political violence. And they closed down the government, which is their most basic duty and responsibility. I think the American people are smart. I think they will understand this. And I think the midterm is going to be a great one for us. We had a demographic shift in 2024. We have a very favorable election map on the Republican side, and it will be even more favorable once all the redistricting stuff is settled out. And we have Democrats who are flailing. They have no leader. Their national leader now, as we've noted, is Mamdani. He's a communist. Good luck with that. I don't think the loss last night was any reflection about Republicans at all. I think people are frustrated and angry, as we are. I am. The president is. And we express that different ways. But look, we look forward. We're looking forward to a great election running on our record. And we're going to get all of our incumbents reelected, and we're going to add to the number here. So that's the answer. Yes.
Never be on the ballot again. President not?
No, look, the question is, President Trump wasn't on the ballot. He's right about that. He and I spoke about that again, but I told him this morning what we've talked about many times and what I've said here before. The president is on the ballot in 2026. President Trump is on the ballot next fall. Because if we lose the majority, if the Republicans, the common sense people here who are doing the job for the American people, if we lose the majority in the House and this radical element of the Democratic Party were able to take over, we've already seen that movie. They will try to end the Trump administration. He won't have 4 years, he'll have only 2, because they will move to impeach him probably on the first day of the new Congress in January 2027, and they will try to systematically unwind all the important reforms that we've done for the American people, to lower costs, to have a better quality of living, on health care, to increase access and quality of care. We are the party that is doing that, and the president needs 4 years to complete his agenda, not just 2. So he is in a very real sense on the ballot. He's fiercely committed to us winning. He is going to help. He's offered to do rallies and to town halls and all the things. He's sent out a huge round of endorsements of incumbents, Republican incumbents, just over the last few days. He is very much engaged, very dialed in, and he understands the stakes. President Trump is on the ballot in 2026, and we're looking forward to that contest. Yes, sir.
Berger did very well with the economic voters, and she won 80% of the health care voters. Look, and that's as well as look at numbers like that. What do you think about going forward? How are you going to deal with that disparity?
Well, the economy and health care are 2 of the primary issues in the country, clearly, and that's why we are delighted to run on our record. We are addressing that. We are delivering for the people. We are fulfilling our promises. President Trump got more votes, by the way, in Virginia and New Jersey than either of the 2 governor candidates, the Democrats there. And one of the things that we ran on was improving these. We passed the American Families Tax Cut, the big, beautiful bill, and got it signed into law on July 4th. Many of those provisions will be coming into play now. It was filled with pro-growth policies. The people standing behind me all worked individually and collectively very hard on that legislation. And the American people are going to feel the positive effects of that before they vote next fall. We did it early enough so that the economic effects could be felt. And you're going to see costs go down and quality of life improve. Our policies lead to that. Socialism does not. Socialism does not lower costs. It doesn't lead to lower costs. It leads to human misery. It leads to the decay of society. It has happened everywhere. When the socialists, Mamdani, and the Democrats here, Leader Jeffries apparently is a socialist now. He endorsed Mamdani. He owns the results there. But when they come out and they go out into their districts next year and they try to tell people that socialism is the way of the future, anyone who studies history will tell them the opposite. The AOC and Bernie and Mamdani and Jeffries, they don't tell people that when government takes control of everything, you have to give up your freedom. Your liberty, your opportunity, your security are yielded to the government, and that the government controls everything. You don't have choices anymore. You don't have incentive. You don't have human dignity, because we represent and we respect the individual inherent value of every single person. We don't judge anybody by the color of their skin or what zip code they live in or whatever. We are all Americans. The socialists and the Marxists divide us into camps, and they value you not as an individual, but on the merits of the group that you are collected into. And they will take away everything from you as they promise to give you everything. It's a lie. It has led to the murder of tens of millions of innocent people in the 20th century alone. That is not who we are in America. And we are proud to go out and run on our record and on those truths of the founding principles of the country, because that's what's going to save us. Olivia. I don't have anything to do with redistricting. The Speaker of the House, people think, are in charge of everything. This is a state-by-state battle. We do believe at the end of the day that we will net more seats for the Republican Party than the Democrat Party. I mean, everybody, that's the analysis. I'll make a comment about the tragedy in California last night. What California did is very, very different, as you all know, by comparison to what a state like Texas did. Texas was following the federal and state constitution, following their state law and redistricting. California was not. They had to trample over their own state law, over their own independent redistricting commission that they had all put into place. It was a desperation, a sign of desperation on the Democrat Party. It was a game to try to rig the election, as if you could gerrymander California anymore. They managed to do it. I mean, there's like 53 representatives from California. We had 9. They want us to have 3. I mean, it's just a blatant example of Gavin Newsom's immoral leadership and the fact that they will do anything to try to rig the system to win. They know that they cannot win on their policies. They know that they don't have a national leader other than the Marxists now to try to set the tone and guide the course, and so they're going to try to rig the game. We're going to win that anyway. We're bullish. We're going to fight like warrior poets in California, and we're going to make sure that our Republicans get reelected. And we're going to do that all around the country, and we're going to continue to move forward, pursuing the America First agenda, delivering on our promises, and making this country great again. That's what we're committed to, and we'll continue to do it. Thank you.